Garoto, você não está pronto.
Tá bom, pai!
Eu vou comprar o PlayStation 5 na Nova Era Games.
É isso aí, pessoal do canal do Review de Games. Estamos aqui na Nova Era Games, o PlayStation 5 e o Xbox mais barato do Brasil. Tem até um Kratos gigante aqui, maravilhoso! E conheça o canal da Nova Era Games no YouTube, que tem promoção toda semana.
E aí galera, beleza? Daniel aqui com mais um vídeo no canal. E seguinte, hoje é um dia especial porque é dia de hacker sendo humilhado. Assim eu espero. Seguinte, pra quem não viu o vídeo que eu falei da menina hacker do Monster Hunter, eu vou fazer um breve resumo, caso você não saiba. Essa menina, ela destruiu um dos chefes mais difíceis do game de olhos vendados. Galera lá que joga, os pro players meio que descobriram que era mentira, que a venda que ela estava usando ali era meio que falsa, ela conseguia enxergar. Então ela teve a incrível ideia, a Queen, de fazer de novo, agora provando que ela conseguiria matar o mesmo chefe mais uma vez. Dessa vez usou uma venda bem mais forte, ela provou usando uma luzinha ali que não dava para enxergar, tapou a tela com papel e matou ele de novo. Ela destruiu mais uma vez. Muita gente começou a acreditar nela, inclusive eu acabei meio que acreditando, porque, pô, eu vi ali, cara, tava tudo ali, filmou até a mão. Só que uma lenda do YouTube aí, o Carl Jobs, que ele é especialista em desmascarar mentirosos, hackers, a galera que tenta enganar os outros. Ele já fez isso inúmeras vezes e tinha prometido pro dia de ontem, dia 29, ia desmascarar essa mina, tá? E bem, ele postou o vídeo. E vamos assistir juntos e no final, vamos chegar aí, vamos ver. Eu quero que vocês comentem se vocês acreditaram nas provas que ele mostrou ou se não. Cara, eu conheço esse cara e eu acredito que ele não vai decepcionar. Então, adianto que essa é a primeira reação que eu faço no canal, e como é um vídeo de hackers, eu acho que não tinha vídeo melhor pra fazer. Essa primeira, espero que vocês deixem um like e, mano, bora ver o vídeo do cara. Lembrando que o canal dele tá na descrição, se inscrevam lá e eu vou dar um play aqui.
Absolute legends. Last month, the streamer known as Queen Pwnsalot pretended to beat the dragon Alatreon wearing a blindfold. This garnered her quite a lot of attention, but when people experienced with the game she was playing and those experienced in blindfold speedrunning saw her video, they realized immediately it was fake. Unfortunately, Queen Pwnsalot's effort of faking a blindfolded run was extremely poor. Not only was she using strategies that are just flat out impossible to use while blind, but the blindfold she was using was so thin and obviously fake, even we, the viewers, could see straight through it. Soon enough.
Só deixando claro aqui, além da venda dela ser claramente falsa, essa é a primeira tentativa dela, alguns movimentos, algumas coisas que ela fazia ou fez nessa gameplay eram impossíveis, porque ela não tinha ajuda sonora, ela não tinha nenhum tipo de... Simplesmente o cara ia dar um pulo nela, um avanço, uma porrada, e ela conseguia desviar do boss. Como? Não dá pra saber. Ela tava enxergando. Basicamente é isso, mas bora.
Enough, people were making videos calling out her fake run, and Queen Pwnsalot was beginning to get quite a lot of negative attention. As it turns out, the public doesn't appreciate liars and people who try to fake gaming accomplishments for clout. After receiving backlash, Queen Pwnsalot fought back, announcing that she was going to do another blindfolded run of the dragon Alatreon, but this time with more proof. On the 14th of February, she went live, and she was stacked to the gills with ironclad anti-cheat measurements. This time she wore a genuine blindfold. She had a hand cam, she had input display, she had paper covering up her monitors, and she was live. Surely there was absolutely no way she could cheat.
A mina tapou os olhos, a mina provou que o bagulho não dava pra enxergar, colocou papel em tudo que era tela, e foi pra cima.
And with all of this in place, she did it again. She beat the dragon Alatreon in front of hundreds of people. She was so convincing that it seemed like everyone now believed she was legit.
But anyway, yeah, it looks like the Alatreon blindfold kill was actually real. It did actually happen.
Maybe
Esse cara é extremamente influente. Ele foi uma das pessoas que mais ajudou a divulgar ela. E ele acreditou na corrida dela. Ele acreditou que ali, de fato, principalmente na segunda, que ela não estava trapaceando.
Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe Queen Pwnsalot was just more gifted than everyone else, and she could really do things blindfolded that no one else could. Or maybe, just maybe, she just cheated again, and we don't know how. Honestly, when I first saw her new successful attempt, I didn't know how she did it. But I did know 2 things. 1, her gameplay was impossible to do blind. And 2, people always underestimate the autistic power of speedrunners. I was committed to finding out how this was done. I envisioned sophisticated cheating methods that would be impossible to detect. I figured that whatever Queen Ponsalot did must be pretty genius to fool everyone so easily. For 3 days, I meticulously studied her video. I worked with experts to clarify game mechanics. I spoke with programmers to see if we could replicate her run using advanced software, but I was getting nowhere. And then, after...
O cara ficou 3 dias em cima do vídeo dela porque nem ele tinha visto aonde ela estava trapaceando. Falou com pessoas especialistas, com pessoas que... Mano, o cara foi atrás de um monte de gente e não conseguia chegar em um ponto que era onde ela trapaceou.
After 72 hours of running into dead ends, I finally saw it. I noticed that Queen Ponsalot did something that gave everything away. The curtain was lifted, and the magician had exposed her secrets. I had the smoking gun, and within 20 minutes of seeing Queen Ponsalot do this one thing, we knew exactly how she did it, and we had the proof. As it turns out, I was on the wrong track the entire time. I thought the method she used must have been smart because no one detected it. But in the end, it turned out to be the simplest and dumbest method I could have imagined. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how Queen Ponsalot faked her most recent blindfolded takedown of the dragon Alatreon. And I guarantee that you'll be shocked at just how many things she did to try and fool you. I really hope you enjoy.
O cara ficou em cima de algo, pesquisou, e aí ele acabou de dizer que o método que ela usou é algo idiota. Então, ô louco, bora ver, tô curioso.
Legends, let's be honest.
Mito.
If you're watching my channel, it's because you are a gigantic nerd. I'm a huge nerd, you're a huge nerd, that's just the way it is. And as nerds, there is nothing more important or fulfilling than having a
Propaganda. Eu vou tentar avançar para quando sair daqui.
In my previous video, we looked at Queen Ponsalot's earlier blindfolded runs, where she used a really thin, transparent sheet of material to cover her eyes and pretended that she couldn't see. In this case, it was so easy to debunk because everyone can just use their own eyes and see that her blindfold was fake. As far as her gameplay was concerned, it's also really obvious that she can see as well. She claims to use the audio to know exactly where the monster is, but years of blindfolded competition tells us that this is impossible. I also highlighted that beyond knowing where the monster is, it's also impossible to detect whether you are looking up or down. So if you see a blindfolded player using their mouse to look up or down, you know they can see. In her latest attempt, we see all of those impossible gameplay mechanics in action once again, and in some cases, it's even worse. She will access the menu in order to use items and mess up the camera, and then immediately and perfectly fix it. She even does this when the dragon is not making any sounds at all, so there is quite literally no audio cue, like in this example. Beyond the impossible vertical movement,
Não teria como ela mexer na câmera, mirar em cima ou embaixo. Ela, além de fazer isso, de posicionar a câmera sempre bem, ela consegue entrar no menu, usar itens ali, esquivar de movimentos impossíveis. Bem,
we also see crazy head tracking in real time that is just laughable. I mean, just look at this gameplay.
as jogadas impossíveis. Mano, a mina esquiva de uns bagulho. Ela faz uns bagulho que, se o cara tivesse enxergando,
in the last
seria
clip,
difícil.
she is rolling underneath the dragon, keeping the camera on its head perfectly as she does it. It's hilarious. And remember, looking up does nothing. It doesn't let her hit any higher, so there is literally no point in doing this other than to see the head, which makes no sense if you're blindfolded. All of this seems very confusing because she appears to be wearing a proper blindfold. And as I mentioned before, her monitors are even covered up with paper, meaning that she can't see them anyway. This led me to consider other ways she might be playing without seeing. One way would be some kind of aimbot. Aimbots are common in many games, so it's possible if she had some kind of sophisticated software, it could help her aim on the dragon.
Mas mesmo com a aimbot, eu acho que seria difícil, hein, mano? Eu não sei.
This would solve the problem of locating the dragon and also solve the vertical aiming issue. However, this wouldn't solve all of the problems, like being able to dodge attacks that don't have sound cues. In one instance, she accidentally hooks onto Alatreon's leg instead of its head, and immediately releases before targeting the head again. But there is no audible difference between hooking onto the leg or the head, so there is no way she should have known. In order to solve issues like this, I theorized that maybe someone was talking to her and giving her instructions through Discord. With someone in her ear and some aim assist software, you might be able to play like this without sight. I reached out to Monster Hunter World expert TSC, who actually developed the first known aimbot of the game. According to him, if she was using an aimbot to achieve this effect, it would require software far more sophisticated than anyone in the community currently possesses. It seems unlikely that this was the method.
Ou seja, mesmo que se ela tivesse usando um aimbot, teria que ser algo mais avançado do que o cara criou ali. Ele conversou com alguém, basicamente o cara disse que seria muito difícil ela fazer isso. Então, bem, eu também acho que com aimbot, cara, ainda tem o fator vendado, mano, é foda.
Most common theory I saw online was that she was using pre-recorded gameplay. Maybe she beat Alatreon earlier and just played that gameplay footage during her live stream. Something like this has been done before. I even made a video about a speedrunner who cheated by using a pre-recorded run during a live charity marathon. However, I didn't believe this was the case. Queen Ponsalot had two cameras and they were both completely in sync. I studied her mouse movements and they always seemed to match what was going on in the game. And so did her keyboard inputs. Her mouse sensitivity was very high, so a lot of movements are hard to see, but I couldn't see any discrepancies. It did appear as though she was actually playing.
Cara, ele acreditou que poderia ser, chegou a acreditar que poderia ser uma gravação. Muitos trapaceiros fazem isso. Só que como ela tá filmando à mão, seria muito difícil ela replicar cada movimento, se fosse algo gravado. Então isso também...
In my opinion, this also ruled out the idea that someone else was playing instead of her, perhaps by using remote assistance. This is an idea that the YouTuber Abisoft spent some time investigating to see if it could work. But aside from her mouse movements matching her gameplay, latency issues would also be a huge problem. Some people suggested that she was using a magician's blindfold and she could see through it. But this is extremely unlikely. Her blindfold doesn't look like any fake blindfold I could find, and we know what blindfold she has because it was recommended.
Essa venda aí que é foda, mano. Ela provou que a venda não passa nada, mano. Não tem como, cara.
Recommended to her. Blindfolded expert Mitris has the exact same one, and it looks exactly the same. One other thing people noticed, and trust me, we noticed this immediately too, is that after Queen Ponsalot killed Alatreon and lifted the paper up, there was something on her screen. And it seemed like she noticed this and moved the paper back down to try and hide it.
I pause it. What is on the screen? And what is on the thing? Is Monster Hunter on her screen? And then watch what happens. She puts it back down to cover. She's quickly trying to hide it. And then the game comes back up on screen.
This is the Windows Start menu, and the reason it appeared is because she hit the Windows key. In fact, she hits the Windows key multiple times throughout her blindfolded attempts. This bugged the hell out of us, and we had no idea why she was doing it. Could this have something to do with how she was faking her gameplay? At seemingly random times, she would hit the Windows key, which would tab her out of the game. This caused her inputs to stop working. She would then need to hit the escape key to try and get back into the game. Watch this clip where she hits the Windows key and then spends 10 seconds trying to get the game to work again.
Travada.
This is bizarre, and she does this multiple times without ever mentioning it. She acts as if this really weird thing that she is doing isn't happening, which is obviously really suspicious. Ultimately, it seems like this is some kind of unrelated tech issue that she was having with her eye tracker. Multiple times before she even started her blindfolded attempts, we can see her hitting the Windows key in order to fix something. She even mentioned it earlier in her stream.
We needed to fix the Toby.
Tô viajando nessa parte aqui.
I
não
think this
entendi
tech
direito.
issue has nothing to do with her blindfolded attempts, but an important question to ask is how did she know there was a problem? She was blindfolded and couldn't see, but knew there was some kind of technical issue and always tried to fix.
Bem, essa parte eu meio que mosquei, mas aparentemente ela tem um problema aqui e ela consegue ali meio que resolver. O outro problema é como ela faz isso, como ela resolve um BO ali se ela tá vendada.
It. And she did all of this without looking, and without saying anything to her audience. It's all really bizarre. In the end, however, after discovering the truth, I realized this was a giant red herring. After several days of brainstorming, I was beginning to run out of ideas. But then, in the middle of the night, I revisited a question.
Mano, o cara ficou dias, cara. Imagina só a cabeça dele. Navegar e não chegar em lugar nenhum.
I had from day one. There was something that Queen Pwnsalot did that was really strange, and I couldn't figure it out. Immediately after she covers her main monitor with paper, while she is attempting to distract her viewers, she holds down her left mouse button for 10 seconds. This was actually one of the very first things I noticed when investigating her run, but I never had an answer as to why she did it. Normally, when you hold a button down for a few seconds, it activates something, and this was one of the reasons I thought she was using some kind of software. But I had overlooked something that was so obvious and so simple, I can't believe I didn't see it immediately. Once I understood what she was doing, it was game over. Holding her mouse button down for 10 seconds told me everything I needed to know. It unlocked all of her secrets. It revealed to me that there was in fact a third hidden monitor.
Eu ia falar isso, cara.
Queen Pwnsalot.
Ou seja, ela tá arrastando alguma coisa para um terceiro monitor. Ou seja, ela tem 2 monitores cobertos e deve ter um outro monitor em algum lugar. Por isso que ela movimenta ali. Provavelmente o OBS.
Wants us to believe that she only has 2 monitors. When she covers them up, she makes sure to verbally state that her monitor on the left has all of her other stuff on it.
To the main attraction as we get our duct tape for our main monitor because, yeah. There's the other one. So you guys know. There it is. With all my other stuff on it. Boom.
This is a lie. In truth, she has a third monitor to her right, off camera. Before she covers it with paper, we can see that her main monitor has her OBS streaming software on it.
Ela pode ter até um quarto monitor. Eu ainda não consegui entender como que ela enxerga. Ela pode ter um 5º monitor, um 6º, um 10º. Como que ela enxerga? Mano, isso aqui ainda tá... Não entendi. Mas aparentemente ela tem um outro monitor. E aí? Como é que... Bora.
This shows her gameplay, and it also has her Twitch chat docked into it as well. One thing that struck me as odd is how she decided to wait until her monitors were covered with paper before setting everything up. This makes no logical sense, and she even tries to act like this wasn't on purpose.
No problem. Alright, alright, cool. Now, alright. Oh god, I'm sorry, I didn't think this through.
But the reason she did this is because she had to ensure that what she did was hidden from the camera. This is where the beauty of the input display comes in, because we can still see everything she's doing, but it's obvious she is trying to hide it. What she does next is very sneaky. She lifts up the paper on her main monitor, which has her OBS on it. She clicks on her OBS window and holds down the mouse key. Then, while she is holding down the mouse button, she distracts her audience with verbal diarrhea.
Where is... That's why we go through what we go through, right? You know? And it's the way that it has to be. And,
Next is the key that I should have seen immediately. What is the most common thing you do when you hold down your mouse button? You drag windows. While talking, she drags her OBS to her hidden monitor on the right. We can confirm this with the input display. We can see her hand move it to the right, and she even looks at her hidden monitor on the right.
Ela olha pro outro monitor e ela arrasta o OBS pra lá, ó. Ela tem um terceiro, esse ela tá olhando pra ele. Bem, ainda não... Mano, e a venda? E a venda? Eu não sei, isso ainda tá foda. Isso
When she does this.
That's why we go through what we go through, right? You know?
Ó,
And
ela
it's
tá
the way that
olhando.
it has to be.
Olha lá, olhando na cara dura pro monitor. Olha lá.
She will use her OBS on the hidden monitor to see the game. Immediately after this, she pretends to move the OBS to her left monitor.
Alright, move that over. Okay. Sure it's there. Okay. I'm sorry.
She moves her mouse to the left, she looks to the left, and she even says that she's moving something. However, we can see on the input display, she doesn't even click her mouse.
Move that over. Okay.
Cara, como que você vai tentar enganar o povo se seu mouse tá ali, tá ligado? Se todo mundo tá vendo o que você tá movimentando, pra que lado você tá movimentando. Então isso é uma coisa que... Sim, a pessoa tem que ser muito idiota pra acreditar nisso, mas eu ainda quero que eles me expliquem como é que ela viu pela venda.
Now, despite the fact her monitor on the right is supposed to be a secret, she cannot help but stare at it constantly. She even responds to this exact message in chat while looking at it. However, mid-sentence she realizes how stupid this is and stops talking.
Alright.
Olha lá, na cara dura, olhando pro bagulho. Olha lá.
Oh yeah. Everything will be unedited.
After panicking and thinking for 10 seconds, she tries to fix this mistake and pretends she read the message from the monitor on the left.
Oh yeah. Everything will be unedited.
Nossa, até aqui ela tá toda cagada.
What was the last thing you said? Unedited.
The funny thing about Queen Pongelot reading chat from her hidden monitor is that it's completely unnecessary. There is no need to have chat there in the first place, and it just causes her to constantly look at it, making it obvious it's there. And it also causes her to screw up by responding to it. I'm guessing she just couldn't help herself and she really wanted to...
Corrijam aí, eu acho que eu mosquei, mas eu acho que ela respondeu alguém depois de ter tapado os monitores, ou seja, ela respondeu alguém, interagiu com um monitor que tá escondido. Por isso que ela fica meio sem graça, entendeu? Acho que foi isso que eu entendi. Meio que eu mosquei aqui, mas basicamente é isso. Ela fica totalmente sem graça pelo fato de ter respondido alguma coisa, sendo que ela não tá vendo nada, que ela já tapou os monitores.
See all of her fans talking about her as she was playing. So we know that she has a monitor to her right, but how does she see it? Well, the secret is in how she's wearing her blindfold. She's wearing it very, very loosely. It's barely able to stay on her face, and on top of that, she wears it very high. This is not how you're supposed to...
Meu amigo, explique isso, pelo amor de Deus, porque se você não explicar isso, aí vai ser foda.
Wear a blindfold. Anyone who owns a blindfold like this knows you don't wear them loose, you wear them tight. If you wear them loose, light gets in. By wearing her blindfold loose, she can see through a small gap between her nose and the blindfold. The gamer Juzzy has already replicated her exact setup. In his case, he showed his two monitors which he
Ele tá dizendo que ela viu por aqui.
turned off, he wore a proper blindfold, he used the exact same input display, and he had a hand cam. With all of this, he also killed Alatreon in expert fashion.
Esse maluco
Here,
matou
he
vendado.
explains how he did it.
As you can see now, my monitors are off and I'm blindfolded, but despite my short-sightedness without glasses, I can clearly see these targets and shoot at them.
Ela tá vendo por aqui. E ele tá provando isso. Agora... já era.
And why is that? It's because there's a secret here. Right now, I'm wearing the blindfold, right?
Ela olha pro terceiro monitor, que é o monitor falso, que tá ali escondido. Ela coloca a venda de uma... É por isso que ela fica assim, mano. Eu achei que era porque ela tá, tipo assim... é tipo meio que um ar de superioridade, né? Porque ela tá com o queixo levantado, assim, tipo meio que uma pose, sei lá, de gente importante. Porque na primeira gameplay ela tá meio que assim. Porque ela tá enxergando pela venda. Agora não, ela tá assim. Porque ela tá enxergando por aqui. Mano, acabou. Mano, acabou. Aqui acabou já. Já era. Passou vergonha, já a humilhação chegou.
But I can see out the gaps between my nose and my blindfold, and if I wore it even looser, I'd be able to see out the sides left and right in my peripheral vision. Then the next step to the trick is the fact that another thing you guys noticed, there's 2 monitors here, right? But they're not the only ones. And the third monitor on my left.
On top of wearing her blindfold very loosely, Queen Pwnsalot also sits back in her chair and looks up in an unnatural way. This is to get a better viewing angle. Before her attempt with the
Falei, o que eu falei. Ela, na primeira gameplay, ela fica olhando assim, direto pra câmera, porque ela tá enxergando aqui. Nessa outra, ela tá com a cabeça levantada. Putz, nunca que eu podia ter imaginado isso
new
antes.
blindfold, she had spent around 1 hour playing with her old blindfold over multiple days and weeks. And for that entire time, she always sat like this. She was leaning forward and looking directly in front of her. This is because while her blindfold was partially obscuring her sight, she could see straight through it and was looking at the monitor directly in front of her. With the new blindfold, she can't see through the front of it, which is why she has now completely changed her sitting position so she can see down and to the side. This is not a normal way to sit, and world-class blindfold speedrunner Bubsia confirms that when you see someone sitting in this position, it's a giant red flag.
And if I curve up even more, but that's already looking very sus, I guess, if you sit there like your neck breaking. If I sit like this, for example, I can see half of my monitor. I can see OBS right now, literally. I can see the volume meters going up. I can see the picture. If I turn a bit, I can see the other monitor.
And it's as simple as that. There is a hidden monitor on the right, and she is playing through her OBS, which she discreetly moved to it. I can't believe I spent so much time researching aimbots when the solution was so stupid.
Ele foi num caminho totalmente errado. Ele ficou muito tempo pesquisando aimbots, coisas. Ele achou que que ela estava trapaceando com algum software. E não era isso. Talvez se ele tivesse pensado no mais simples, ele teria chegado a uma solução rápida. E antes de qualquer coisa a gente terminar, mano, o que tem de gente que na página do Facebook, no canal, cara, eu mesmo tendi a acreditar no que ela tinha feito, porque, mano, tô vendo ali a mão da garota. Só que, velho, que satisfação. Vai ser muito difícil você defender ela agora, viu? Você que fica... Vai ser muito difícil. Mano, você vai ter que fazer muito esforço. A Gadice vai ter que bater lá no topo para você ainda defender isso aqui.
Basic. And while it's so easy just to say there was a hidden monitor, which some people did, it's an entirely different story to provide concrete evidence. The fact that we can literally see her move OBS to the hidden screen, the fact that she reads chat from it, the fact that she stares at it constantly, the fact that she wears her blindfold so loosely, and the fact that she sits in such a weird position, all prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the way she cheated. But here is my favorite part. After she has killed Alatreon, and while paper is still covering her screen, she looks directly at the hidden monitor and moves the camera around perfectly. It's like she's not even trying to hide it. And beyond all of this, the simple fact remains, the way she played the game is impossible to do if you can't see. Now let's be real for a second. At the end of the day, this entire thing isn't a big deal. This is just silly, fun internet drama, and it's just really interesting to learn how Queen Pwnsalot faked her blindfold runs. Personally, I'm not emotionally charged about this. I just love trying to expose video game fraudsters because I enjoy it. This whole back and forth is honestly really entertaining. But make no mistake, her behavior is not healthy, and it's not a good thing. There are gamers who spend thousands of hours legitimately trying to do amazing things without the ability to see. Blindfolded gaming takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of ingenuity. And Queen Pwnsalot keeps taking a giant steaming dump on all of their efforts. Because of her actions, people are going to...
E no fim, galera, no fim, essa é a pior parte. É que ela ainda vai ter muita gente que vai seguir ela. Provavelmente um pedido de desculpas, mas não vai mudar o fato de que ela vai receber muitos seguidores. Quando uma coisa assim acontece, vou usar um exemplo lá de trás. Arban, quando cortou a placa. Que foi a melhor coisa que ele fez na vida dele, porque ele fez uma coisa que muita gente odiou, mas o foco estava nele. É aquela parada do marketing negativo, ele não existe. Por pior que ela tenha feito aqui, mano, ela vai ganhar muito seguidor. E talvez isso tenha até sido de propósito, entendeu? Porque ela sabia que isso ia acontecer, entendeu? Não duvido que isso tenha sido de propósito, porque elas sabiam que iam fazer vídeos, e no fim das contas quem é prejudicado é várias outras garotas que se esforçam muito e nunca vão conseguir a mesma exposição que ela se não fizerem algo tão escroto que nem essa menina fez. Isso é foda, mano.
Trust the accomplishments of real gamers even less. Skepticism will disproportionately rise, and the public will become even more cynical. But on the flip side, maybe that's a good thing. The amount of people who threw common sense to the wayside and took her runs at face value is pretty shocking. Maybe people do need to be a bit more skeptical, and maybe this lesson was an important one to learn. Let me know what you think in the comments. I worked with a group of gamers who helped me do research for this video, including the YouTuber Abisoft, who is also releasing a video about this most recent run. I know for a fact he is including many details I haven't mentioned myself, so if you want to learn even more, please go and check out his video as well.
Bem, basicamente ele divulgou outros canais. Eu vou deixar na descrição todos os canais que fizeram sobre isso, tá? O dele, esse vídeo, os outros, que ele tá falando que tem informações adicionais. E basicamente eu vou terminar esse vídeo. Cara, por mais que eu esteja feliz, dá vontade de abraçar esse vídeo, de beijar. Vídeo maravilhoso, tá? É muito bom você ver um cara, mas como eu falei, é a parte triste, é que ela vai ganhar exposição, ela vai ganhar seguidores. E se não tivesse essas provas contra ela, um monte de gente ia falar que ela é foda, que os caras têm inveja, como falaram, né? Ah, você tem inveja e tal. E não é isso, galera. Tem muita gente boa aí que não precisa desse tipo de coisa pra jogar, pra aparecer, e não vai ter a mesma exposição, porque não fez a merda gigante que essa menina fez. Deixem um like nesse vídeo aqui, reflitam sobre isso, não vão pra esse lado, independente de... Eu acho que no fim das contas vale mais você dormir tranquilo do que você fazer esse tipo de coisa. Chamar atenção, trapacear pela segunda vez, e no fim das contas ela ainda vai ser beneficiada. Escuta o que eu tô falando. Essa é a parte chata. Mas o vídeo em si é maravilhoso. Deixa seu like no vídeo, se inscreve aqui no canal se for novato, desculpa qualquer coisa. Esse é o primeiro react que eu faço e todos os canais estão na descrição. Fiquem com Deus, que é a base de tudo. E você se lascou! Tchau. Queen se lascou.